listening to the Affiliate Report podcast, presented by sellhealth.com. Increase revenue and improve your affiliate marketing business with advice from two industry insiders. Your hosts, Derek Galel and Galel Fajardo.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Affiliate Report podcast. My name is Galel Fajardo. I am the director of the affiliate program at sellhealth.com, and I'm joined by co-host, CEO, wonderful Canadian, now back in Vancouver after 6 weeks of wonderful vacation, Mr. Derek Galel. So, Derek, your trip ended a little short.
Yes. A little plumbing issue here on the home front. But, you know, it was nothing too tragic. If it could have been worse. But fortunately, the pipe that burst right over a drain in the basement. So it's all good. My wife's Christmas reindeer got a bath, and that's it.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Crisis averted.
Totally.
Excellent. So things are plugging along all over the place. We've got really strong towards the end of the summer now, right? Strong end of the summer.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people buying stuff. Things are looking good.
It's an interesting time. Two of my favorite times of the year are beginning of January, because all the holidays are behind us. Everybody's kind of back in action, and buying habits are getting back to normal, and e-com is booming. This is my other favorite time of the year, right? Because everybody's back from holidays, both on our teams and also in terms of e-com, right? So this week blows in terms of e-commerce, unless you're doing back to school stuff. It's pretty, it's soft, right? Last weekend was soft. It just is what it is, right? Last weekend of the summer before Labor Day, when the majority of kids go back to school next week, or some of them have been going back to school this week as well. And so it's like a January in the middle of the year, right? Now it's an exciting time, because we're about to head into probably the strongest e-com months of the year, right? Leading up to the holidays. You got Black Friday, you got all the big shop. Like it's awesome.
Yes, and people are ramped up and ready to buy stuff. So I love that, especially in the affiliate marketing industry, right?
Totally.
You still got people that are, I hope, still taking their health seriously, and looking at making changes. The statistics don't lie when it comes to COVID-19. Those that really get wrecked by it, and the people that I've seen in my life get wrecked by COVID, multiple comorbidities include, and it's all surrounding obesity, right? So if you're overweight, red flag, get to work, right? A lot of affiliate marketers, and I say we, I put myself included, it's very easy for us to sit on our asses all day. And I think just the focus on getting up and moving around, I would encourage everybody listening, are you moving around? Are you getting in steps? One of the things that I was reading about, because I follow a lot of health and wellness and nutrition sites, because they're competitors and I want to know what they're doing, right? And I get into their Facebook groups and stuff. And one of the things that one of the guys in a fitness app that I follow, he was like, look, it can be as simple as walking for 45 minutes a day. Just walk for 45 minutes a day, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny, because I know there's going to be people listening to us. I know we have a big European audience. They're like, what, walk 45 minutes? I walk to the subway station. I walk to the metro every day. Like how is that, so hard for people? I'm just like, no, you don't understand our lifestyle in the United States,
car culture,
and Canada totally. Too, car just culture. North America, car culture, right? And how often do you, to go get something that's 5 minutes away, would take you 15 minutes to walk, 5-minute drive, right? But instead we opt to just hop in the car and drive.
Sure.
And so I would just encourage everybody, just reconsider your lifestyle. Maybe it means getting a stand-up desk, right? I have an adjustable desk that I'll stand up and sit down, and that right there is movement. If you're doing conference calls, right? You're doing calls, with your VAs, can you be out walking around? Just these little things that you can do where you can quote multitask to move around. So obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, all these things really wreck you when your body gets infiltrated with COVID. So do what you can to take care of yourself. Supplementation, right? I mean, this is one of the reasons why I love being in the supplement industry, is the fact that stuff that we sell like actually benefits people, right? Huge correlation. And if you look at numbers with regard to vitamin D deficiency and hospitalization with regard to COVID, right? So like, are you taking supplements, right? And like, in what supplements are you taking, and all these different types of things, right? So again, I'm not a doctor. I just pretend to be one because my mom is one.
And a lot of that's, I mean, it's common sense, and health is something that takes effort, right?
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I can tell you as somebody who does a lot of hardcore endurance sports and, long rides and stuff like that, if you want to lose weight, 80% diet.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And everybody's looking for the magic pill, or they're running longer. And, it was interesting a few years ago when I was training for the BC bike race, 7-day stage race. And, you race for 7 days. And when I was training for that, I was spending a good 15 to 20 hours a week on my bike, and I couldn't lose weight for the life of me. And I think that was a revelation, is when you're training, the harder you train, the hungrier you get. And the more you stress your body, the more nutrients you need. And typically what happens, people work out really hard, but then they just eat back all the calories, right? The fastest way to lose weight is, lift heavy things and eat well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Full stop. In fact, and just find ways to stay active. Find interesting stuff. In fact, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but my son and I tonight, we're starting our first Muay Thai class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've been cycling and I've got a gym in my basement, stuff like that. But I've noticed I'm really good sort of my forward, backwards running, cycling, stuff like that. But when I used to be in martial arts in my 20s, I was way more flexible and agile and left to right and all that. And and my son was like, I want to do this. I'm like, let's do it. And it turns out awesome. Literally in my community is a 3-time world champion Muay Thai guy that has a crazy training. So
he has a studio then.
Yeah. It's
that's
and
awesome.
He trains guys that goes and fight in Thailand and stuff. So I'm probably getting my ass handed to me and beat up. But
but that's what I hear though, is that, so I have a lot of friends that do Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
And they say, look, because I've been like toying with the idea, like I've looked up some studios, this, that. I'm basically trying to avoid doing it, right? Because I know I'm going to get my ass kicked. But they say like going and getting your ass kicked, and obviously like these places, like they want people to come back.
Sure.
They're not going to wreck you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially like in the Gracie Barra type of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But it's so good for you mentally, especially when you excel in certain areas of your life. It's really good to go into something that you're really not that good at, and to kind of like proverbially and physically like get your butt kicked, right? And having to bounce back from that, and just the mental toughness that it does. And I was listening this week, and I think it was Joe Rogan who was talking about the fact that putting yourself as humans into situations where you are getting your butt kicked, like seeking out areas of your life where you are seeking pain in this, like, not in a like masochistic sort of way, but like putting your body through tests, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's endurance, or whether it's doing a sauna, or doing a cold plunge for 20 minutes, or these different things, how it builds mental toughness and resilience. And I realized, so I did 75 hard, which is like his mental and physical challenge that Andy Frisella put out. I did 75 hard at the beginning of this year. And what it did for my mindset was just astronomical. Like taking me from the first week where I was like literally telling my wife, I can't do this. This is impossible. What the fuck did I sign up for? I can't believe I did this, to finally like day 30, day 40, where like you kind of like break through that mental wall and you're like, no, not only can I do this, but I can keep going doing this. Right. And just so I would encourage people, like, test your mind, test your body. Like, it just does really good stuff. And it has great benefits in different aspects of your life. I truly believe
a human's ability to suffer directly correlates to, their ability to succeed in life. Right.
Absolutely.
And especially as an entrepreneur, because you suffer, right? There's stress, there's hardship, and and there's discomfort, and you need to be able to push through those things. And it was funny yesterday. We're signing up in our first classes tonight, and he hands me a white belt, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, fuck, seriously. Noob. Totally. I mean, and I was in Taekwondo in my 20s and did some tournaments and stuff. And, I only did that for about 2.5 years, but I was like, oh God, not the white belt again. Right. Like, and I mean, to be in your mid 40s, sort of at the peak of your career and all this, and somebody hands you a white belt and you're like, oh, I'm about to go in there and get my ass handed to me by like kids.
Yeah. Kids. And it's funny because like when you're on the mat there, like, there is no bringing in your accomplishments. There is no showing your net worth.
Have you seen my car?
Nobody cares about the car you drive, the watch you wear, anything like that. It's like, nope, you are brand new. Yep. And you know what? That's why I like it, right? Totally. I think it's one of the reasons why I like umpiring baseball, because it's really hard. Yeah. Right. It's really hard to do. And I've got guys that are, 20 years older than me that are like schooling me, like just there's nothing yes, there's physical aspect about it, but the mental aspect and knowing where to be, and they're like, oh yeah, you just haven't had enough experience, like you'll know, like once you get hit with a baseball, like by standing there, you'll know you shouldn't stand there, right? Or you can't outrun a 12-year-old, just different things like that. So that's good, man. I look forward to hearing how it goes for you guys. That right there, we could end the podcast right there. That's good stuff, folks.
For sure. There you go.
What do you have for
okay, all right. So the tool today, this is pretty cool, and it's in its infancy right now, but it's still pretty damn cool. All right, it's called Synthesis, and the URL is Meet Synthesis, so synthesys.com. And look, I know affiliates are going to love this, because you can put a script into this and it will produce a real human voiceover with a video of somebody talking your script instantly.
Come on now.
I kid you not. I was even skeptical. I'm like, what? No.
Okay, so what's the URL again?
So Meet, MEET.
Okay.
Synthesis, SYNTHESYS.com.
Got it. Okay.
And literally, you put this in, and if you look closely, like, okay, it's not perfect, but it's pretty freaking damn good. It looks like somebody's literally there, and you can choose different real people, right? And it's like they're reading your script and saying what you told them to instantly.
Amazing. So what are some applications
all over the place? Sales videos, affiliates, sales videos, video sales letters, explainer videos, promotions, stuff like that, right? Would I go out there, and I know affiliates will be like, I'm going to use it for testimonials. It's like, no, guys, it's not for testimonials. But for those of you who don't want to have your face on your site, you can literally have these little spokespeople that you put in the script, and it's like, and we're talking not a cartoon, right? Like, we're talking like a real person. So, and they narrate. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
so how does it work? So it talks about credits, right? So for example, you buy the commercial version for $67.
Yeah.
It gets you 30,000 credits. Each credit is one character.
Yeah.
And so 30,000 characters / credits are equal to 60 minutes of voiceover. So then you just re-up on credits then?
Yeah. And if you go in there and you go to voice samples, you can see all the different people that are the actual, I don't even know if I want to call them characters, but I guess they kind of are. Where did it go? You've got.
Oh yeah. So it says it has 8 8 male and female professional English voice actors with unique tones. So for example, there's Renee, who has deep, mellow, and soft voice. Her voice is great for podcasts. Then you have John M, who's a film trailer, deep, mellow, and resonant. Pick John for storytelling. Very interesting.
Yeah.
This
crazy.
is fascinating.
Just nuts, hey? Like, you just type it in and it manipulates their face so it looks like they're talking the words. I don't even know how that happens, but
that is wild.
Yeah. So there you go.
I love it. So there you go, folks. There is no more excuse for that, for not being able to produce content. So I will make sure that this link is included in the show notes. Meetsynthesis.com, SYNTHESYS, for the spelling of synthesis. Excellent. So for news this week, I'm going to share 2 items. So number one piece of news is the fact that Google, so I know affiliates have been concerned. They've been asking me, hey, do we know what's long-term ramifications, anything like that? So here's the update. Google's link spam update has been completed. This is as of August 27th. So, I know a lot of the affiliates that are August 24th. This article is from August 27th. August 24th is when it was completed. The rollout took 4 weeks as opposed to the 2 weeks that had been expected. So I know we've seen some shakeup in the SERPs with regard to affiliate sites and things that affiliates have been working on. So that is one piece of news. The second one I thought was important for me to share. This is an article that came out August 30th, and I'll include a link to both of these. But, I've talked with affiliates, and they're always concerned about making changes on articles, right? They get super concerned, like if they are reviewing something and it's like, top 10 of 2020, and it's now 2021 and they haven't updated their article, or maybe it's a title of a product they want changed. Google announced this week that title changes will not impact rankings. Okay, so why does that matter? Because if you have something that's been ranking and you want to make an update, you want to optimize your title, you're concerned it's going to affect your search results, it will not affect it. You can make title changes and it will not affect it. Now, if, for example, you make a change and your rankings adjust, understand it's not the title, that Google's using 1,000 other different elements as to whether or not something's going to affect your ranking.
I would dig deeper in that. I never trust what Google tells us.
No, of course not.
Because look, if I have an article on dog training and then, the whole article remains dog training, and then I change it to the title to how to trade Bitcoin, that's going to, and that's my H1, which we know is a place that, the algorithm looks for keywords. That's going to confuse the algorithm. And I mean, that's a kind of a worst case scenario, right? But I guess my caution would be, you change your title, but still make sure that primary keyword that you're optimizing, a focus keyword, whatever you want to call it, still exists in that title.
Correct. And I think that is why we need to be careful with what they're saying here. So, for example, best dog training methods of 2021, best dog training methods of 2022, right?
Sure.
And so while best dog training methods may still rank, that long tail search may be adjusted, right? So I just think read this article. I'm going to include a link here. There's some tools that they mention in here that you may want to check out to see what, if any, effect your click-through rates have had with regard to title updates, title changes. Understand, anytime you make a change, while it may not affect your ranking, it will most definitely affect your click-through rate, because you have to make sure that what you're putting on there is something that's still relevant to the end user, right? Headlines truly, truly matter, which is a great segue to our topic for today. Now, I was talking with Derek beforehand. One of the things I've been really working on the last month is I've been working with affiliates in reviewing their existing websites, existing landing pages, existing PPC ads, you name it. And one of the most consistent mistakes that I see in my work as an affiliate manager is really, really crappy headlines. Really crappy headlines. To the point where I'm just telling people, you like, please, like, okay, I'm going to say this in the most tactful manner possible, but you really got to dive in and learn copywriting, right? And so I try to give affiliates a little like 5-10 minute lesson on copywriting, but now we're going to use this platform to really amplify the message. Headlines matter. And Derek, I was wondering if we could, pick your brain a little bit and get your insight as to what makes a good headline.
Yeah, I can't tell you. Like, I mean, you're saying you review affiliate sites. Over the last 20 years, I can't, every time I say, what's wrong with my site? I'm like, your headline sucks, right? Like, and I don't even have to look at it half the time. I'm like, I know you have a crappy headline. I just know you do. So let's start with, why are headlines so important? And I would make the argument that your headline is the most important piece of your website. And the reason is simple. When someone lands on your website, they've done studies, and on average, if you have a woman, it's about 5 seconds. If you have a man, it's about 7 seconds to grab their attention and convince them to stay on your website. And so when somebody comes to your webpage, they land on a landing page. Your landing page could be a home page, it could be a blog post, it could be anything, right? Like, it's the entry page to the website. And when they land on that page, they are subconsciously trying to figure out, is this what I want? And, does this have what I need? And if they land on that page and there's no clear, concise, compelling message that tells them exactly what they're going to get if they take their time to read said page, then they're just going to leave. And so, you can have the best price, the best product, the best guarantee, the best customer service, the best everything. But you could be sabotaging all of that because you don't have a good headline, and the headline doesn't convince the right people to stay and learn more. So, headline is the most important piece of your website. Now, that being said, I also want to clarify, the job of the headline isn't to get the most people to stay on your webpage. Rather, it's to get the right people to stay on your webpage, okay? The right people. And there's a really important word that I want to highlight when I talk about headlines. And we'll talk a little bit more about headline structures and stuff here in a second. But one of the key words that I want to ingrain in you when it comes to headlines is congruency, okay?
Yes.
Because when people come to your website, they've landed on that page because maybe they were searching a keyword, or they saw an ad and clicked on it, or an affiliate sent them to this page. And so if you have a headline that is incongruent with the reason they came to the web page, they're going to leave. Okay. So if somebody is out reading an article of an affiliate site on, best HGH releaser supplement, okay? And they click through to your page, and the headline doesn't say anything about HGH releasers, but just talks about general supplements. You're going to lose people, right? You need to have as much congruency as possible. And the guys that are really good at this are like the Ninja AdWord guys, right? Because they'll go out and they'll create an ad that is super congruent to the headline on that page, right? And what that page is about. And, really smart PPC guys will get so granular that they'll have different campaigns for different keywords landing on different landing pages that may all be selling a similar or same thing, but they've been customized to be super congruent. So the ad they clicked leads to a headline that's completely relevant to that. And then the next step in that congruency is in your first paragraph, you need to continue the benefit, right? So continue the congruency. So you never want to break that because it was an ad or something that got them to click to the page, and you want to make sure that you're reiterating in the headline that, hey, this is what's on this page, and then when they start reading, the first thing they start reading about is that message, right? So congruency, and if you ever break that chain of congruency, you're going to start bleeding people out of your funnel, out of those steps, okay? So I kind of want to drill that into your head. And now I think let's talk about actual headline structure, right? Because, headlines are one of those things that you get out there and you start reading these copywriting books and you start looking at different swipe files and you'll see all these different headline formats and strategies and stuff like that. But I want to give you a really simple formula to follow. And I think if you follow this formula consistently, it's going to work, right? It's just going to get you decent results every time. Now, one of the problems I see is a lot of people typically get into the clickbaity headlines, right? And we see those clickbaity headlines and they try and be clever and they try and be cute and stuff like that. And sometimes you win and sometimes you don't. Those are hard headlines to write. And the fact of the matter is as affiliates and e-com businesses, when people land on our web pages, for the most part, we're not going to use a clickbait style headline, right? Something intriguing, something bizarre or off. Why? Because we're trying to promote or sell a product, right? So
right.
As a business, when people land on our web pages, typically they have a problem and they're looking for a solution to that problem, right? Or they're looking for some kind of a product or they're out researching something. As an affiliate, 9 times out of 10, when somebody hits your website, they're looking for recommendations of products, right? And so that's really going to guide your headline format. But if I had to boil down, the simplest headline format is what is the primary benefit they want, and make it as specific and measurable as possible, all right? So what are they going to achieve? And the two questions I always ask is how much, how long, right? And if you think about this, we can apply, let's take supplements, for example, HGH releasers, right? When somebody lands on a page about HGH releasers, if it's an affiliate site, you're gonna have something. If somebody searched affiliate, HGH releaser review or best H releasers of 2021, your headline needs to be exactly that, right? Top 10 best HGH releasers of 2021 reviewed and critiqued and organized, right? Very simple to the point. That's a super simple headline as affiliates. Now, that being said, if you are reviewing a single product, okay, now we're going to apply that how much, how long formula to it, right? So, so let's say we're doing a review page for Gen F20, one of my HGH releases. You might say, discover why Gen F20 Plus or discover how Gen F20 Plus can increase your natural HGH levels by X% in X time.
Yes.
Right? Like at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants to know. How much, how long? If I'm doing weight loss, what do they want to know? Discover how this diet's going to allow you to lose up to 30 pounds in 30 days, right? Like those are the headlines that they're easy to write, and that's what people want to know, right? If it's a compelling enough, the benefit's there and it tells them, this is what you're going to get, this is how long you're going to take, they're going to stick around. And those are such easy headlines to write. If you're in the biz op or the finance space or investing, right? Discover how you can, make 10% consistently on your money every month over month for the next 365 days, right? Like just super dead simple headlines. Those aren't complex, right? Like everybody pulls out the example of, the most famous headline, which was, I think, when I told them I was learning to play piano, they laughed, but then I sat down to play. ...
Yes.
Right? Like that's one of the most classic headlines ever. And yeah, that's amazing. But those are freaking hard to write. And at the end of the day, unless you're a pro copywriter, stick with the tried, true, tested how to gain X in Y, right? How this product's going to give you this benefit in this period of time. And the more you can quantify, the better. And if you follow that formula, you're going to start producing headlines that work. So there's my 2 cents. And the only thing I would add to that is, guys, when you're sitting down, here's how most people approach it wrong, right? They sit down at they're like, okay, I gotta work on my page. Start with a blank page, and they start trying to write a headline. Write the headline last, right? Because when you're creating a page, at the end of the day, you write the whole page, whether it's sales or a blog post or whatever. And by the time you're done actually creating it, you're going to be in a much better place to write the headline, right? And it's just easier. So there you go. So Galel, you write copy. What's your take?
So I concur wholeheartedly with everything that you've said, everything. And that's rare, because I'll sometimes say, Derek, I might do this differently. I wholeheartedly endorse everything you just said 100%. And I want to go back to the book that really was one of my introductions to copywriting back in the days of wickedfire.com, when John Fisher was running Wicked Fire. And that was like a big
deal back
then.
all
big guys in affiliate marketing were on Wicked Fire. And everybody told me when I was first getting started, they was like, dude, you have got to read Cashvertising, right? Cashvertising by Drew Eric Whitman. And I've talked about this book ad nauseum on this podcast. But if you have Cashvertising and you purchased it, which I hope you have, pages 92 to 96 discuss headlines specifically. And David Ogilvy, who is the godfather of direct response copy, right? Like Madison Avenue, like the godfather of this stuff. In here, he says, unless your headline sells your product, you have wasted 90% of your money. Full stop, right? Like, unless your headline sells your product, you have wasted 90% of your money. So reinforcing the important aspect of a headline, right? Also, the fact that 60% of all people who read ads, they typically read the headlines and nothing else. So if what you're trying to sell is not congruent in your ad, you're done, which is why I love the advice of write your ad and then write your headline last, because then you can compare, okay, does my headline match my ad copy? And if, for example, I'm running a pay-per-click ad, is the main pain point that I'm trying to sell a solution for, is it in there? So I'll give you an example. You've got a male enhancement product. I'm going to use some adult language, folks. If you have children in the car or whatever, turn it down so they don't listen the next 30 seconds. Just a heads up, folks.
Now I'm intrigued. Where are we going?
So if I have a supplement, for example, one of our supplements, Pro Solution Plus. Okay. Pro Solution Plus works as a male enhancement supplement, but one of the benefits of Pro Solution Plus that's been backed by clinical studies, it helps reduce premature ejaculation. So if I'm selling it as a premature ejaculation product, I cannot put my headline as firmer, harder erections. That's not congruent with what the supplement actually does. Instead, I have to lead with something that talks about how this, find this, see this supplement that will reduce premature ejaculation by X% within X amount of time, right? It's congruence. You can't just flip out the name of the product and go with the old copy. Right, that's not going to be an effective solution. So if you're going to sell a supplement, that's main selling point is firmer, harder, longer lasting erections, then make sure that's in your copy. If you're going to sell a solution that's going to help with premature ejaculation, then your copy damn well better reflect that. Your ad copy, right? They'll say to me, affiliates will say to me, well, why is it my PPC ad doesn't work? I'm talking about the best, male enhancement supplement. Well, because the sales page refers to premature ejaculation. The ad copy on the sales page refers to that. The headline refers to that. Your PPC ad says, about being a lion in bed. Doesn't match, right? So congruence is vital. And I think that's an easy thing to gloss over. Another element is the fact that you don't want to have headlines that are crazy long. And there have been studies done with regard to the longer that your headline is, the less readership that the headline gets. So one of the things that Drew Eric Whitman recommends, and I recommend, is writing multiple headlines, right? Start with 2, right? Start with writing 2 headlines and split test them, right? Like try one headline with your traffic, see where it goes, see what kind of numbers you get. And like, this is great with PPC ads, right? PPC ad, and it has 7 words in the title. Okay. Then you have another one that, let's say, has 5 words in the title. Well, I want you to compare the same traffic with both headlines and see which one performs better, right? It might be that your one with 7 actually outperforms the one with 7 words, outperforms the one with 5 words, but it could be that there's a key element in those 7 words that the 5th one, the 5-word headline is missing. The science tells us, the studies show us that less words equals greater readership. But test, right? Test. And I would, if I'm testing these 2, I would take both headlines, see which one's shorter, and I would test the one with the less words. I would test that one first and make that my primary, right? And so less is typically more. I want to read a couple examples of some headlines that they include in here in this book that I think will give you good guidance, right? So, for example, let's say you have a workshop that you're doing to teach waiters and waitresses how to boost their income. Here's one. Attention food servers, new workshop teaches you the tricks of the trade. Okay. Compare it to this headline. Attention food servers, new workshop teaches you how to boost your tips by 512% or your money back. And
so what's the big difference there? Measurable,
how much
result.
And how long, right? The measurable result.
Yeah.
Right. So I think utilizing those keys are really going to open up people, right? Congruency and following this headline formula that Derek talked about putting the primary benefit right there for people to see and telling them how much and by how long, right? Where and when. I think those are essential elements. And I think just taking those, obviously you and I could talk about this subject for hours and hours. Sure. You can, there's entire courses written on this, and we're trying to do this in a, 20, 30 minute podcast.
To that point though, there are entire courses written on it. And that's the problem, right? Is people get too deep into this and overcomplicate it, right? And that's where, when you need to just step back, what's the primary benefit? How do I quantify that for them? Put it in a headline. And that's going to get you at least 85% of the way there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the only other thing too is when we're talking about testing headlines, first of all, if you do test headlines, make sure, and this is just testing 101. Test the headlines. Don't be changing other stuff, right?
Yes.
And keep in mind, what are you testing when it comes to testing a headline? And so I've had people that say, I'm testing headlines, and they're looking at bounce rates. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't look at bounce rates. And simply because I might be getting more people to stay, but they might be the wrong people, right?
Correct.
And so when you're testing headlines, what it really comes down to, I mean, in any test for me, well, it depends on what your goal is, right? It might be higher conversion, it might be more profit, but you need to make sure you don't just stop at bounce rate where a lot of people do, because that's not going to be necessarily indicative of what's really happening.
Yes. And I would encourage you all to go back and listen to some of our old episodes where we talk about looking at accurate numbers, looking at accurate data. What metrics should you be looking at, right? That becomes a whole other element of, oh, well, this just isn't working for me. Well, let's hold your horses. Let's make sure we're looking at correct data. So absolutely, yes, when you're A/B testing headlines, you're only testing the headlines. Don't switch anything else out.
Sure.
Great stuff, Derek. I think there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot more stuff that we can go in depth on here, but it's definitely a start. And I hope that affiliates will put this stuff into practice, especially the element of congruency, right? It just takes more work, right? It takes more work for you to write different ads for the different problems that you're targeting, right? Or tweaking a headline and going a little bit in depth with figuring out that primary benefit and then knowing, hey, how much is this going to help somebody in how long? Like, it just takes a little bit more effort, but at the end of the day, those affiliates, I think, will be handsomely rewarded with greater success ultimately.
Yes, agreed. 100%.
Excellent stuff, folks. If you have questions for us, please send them to us at support@theaffiliatereport.com. Again, support@theaffiliatereport.com. We thank our sponsor for this podcast, Cell Health. You can visit them at cellhealth.com, the #1 health affiliate network available for affiliates. We'd love to work with you, and you get to work alongside great people like Derek and myself to help you make some money. In the affiliate marketing space. With that, folks, thank you so much for listening to us, and we will see you again next week.
You're listening to the Affiliate Report podcast, presented by cellhealth.com. Increase revenue and improve your affiliate marketing business with advice from 2 industry insiders. Your hosts, Derek Galel and Galel Fajardo.